Going to learn about one of the most important topics of UPSC, and it is hardly given a lot of focus on by the students. So I decided that I will start with this. So we are starting with the Bhakti movement. It is one of the most essential part of our ancient and medieval history. It's sociologically important. It is a very landmark historical part of our Indian history. So let's start with the Bhakti movement, the spiritual and social renaissance. So the first thing that we need to remember about the Bhakti movement is that it was a renaissance of sort. So what is a renaissance? Renaissance essentially means a reawakening or something that was sleeping that wakes for something better. Okay, so it was a spiritual and social renaissance. So we have to understand that the timeline the Bhakti movement came into being, it was the time when the religious orthodox rituals have reached its peak. There were a lot of orthodox rituals in the religions available in India at that point of time. That was both Hinduism and Islamic practices were taking an extreme form, and there was blatant casteism and discrimination amongst each other. So this was a spiritual and social renaissance because this shifted the social dynamics in India. So we are associating the timeline of this. It is from 7th to 17th century. I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention one here. So it is 7th to 17th century. All right, you have please correct this in the document. It was from 7th to 17th century. It happened for about 1,000 years. So you can understand that it is very impactful and very essential. So the next thing we need to know is that it had transformative religious and cultural movement. As I said, there was so much of rigidity in the religious context. There were so many orthodox Brahmanical rituals that were being practiced. There was a very stark discrimination even in Islam. That is the reason that why Bhakti movement in Hinduism and the Sufi movement in Islamic tradition came into being. So what this Bhakti movement was all about? It was about propagating equality, bringing harmony, both religious harmony and the inter-community harmony, inter-societal harmony, and devotion as a pathway to salvation. So no orthodox rituals, no huge sacrifices were required. What was required was pure devotion, and that will lead to the salvation. So what is the origin of this Bhakti movement? We have to remember that it originated in South India somewhere close to 8th to 12th century. All right, and a very significant part of this are the groups Alvars, who were devotees of Vishnu, and there were Nayanars, who were the devotees of Shiva. So these were the two sects, the two groups that are very essential in this Bhakti movement. Gradually the Bhakti movement spread to North India, and it started countering Buddhism and Jainism. So we also probably, I believe that you are aware that Buddhism and Jainism also came into being because of the orthodoxy in the religious context. So the features, what are the features of Bhakti movement? We see that devotion to God becomes very essential, more important than the complexity of rituals. So the complex rituals were given lesser priority, rather it was outrightly rejected, and devotion to God was promoted. All right, equality for all. So there was nothing such like the Shudras cannot practice Bhaktism. The Bhakti movement cannot be part of the Bhakti movement, or the Brahmins, who the Brahmanical rituals, they were rejecting that. So it was not also that the Brahmins could not. Everyone was supposed to be treated equally. They rejected the caste discrimination and promoted equality for all. They wanted no discrimination even for on grounds of anything. They were promoting the practice of equality for all religions, all caste, and even both the genders. Okay, so they promoted religious harmony. They did not want any more conflicts happening in the name of religion, and they promoted religious harmony. All right, the personal relationship with God became very important. So you did not need any priest in between to connect you with the God, but rather your personal relationship with the God got the center stage. So each and every one was allowed to practice this and find his or her own path to God, because it could be achieved through pure devotion. Simple life, worship and language. So this promoted the lifestyle to be simplistic. The worship was without any rituals or sacrifices, and language as well. Why language is here? Simple language, because the propagation of this bhakti movement was through regional languages. So regional languages played a very important role in propagation of this bhakti movement. All the saints associated with this, they sang their poems, they sang their songs, recited their poetries and their hymns in the regional languages. So what is the most essential philosophy? What is the philosophy behind this bhakti movement? So we see these are two essential segments in the philosophy, that is Saguna Bhakti and Nirguna Bhakti. So Saguna, if you break down the word Saguna itself, you understand that it is gun. Gun refers to a body or an entity, right? This refers to an body or any shape or form. So Saguna refers to deity with a form, that has a form, most essentially a form of a human being. Alright, so the Saguna Bhakti believed in a deity having a human form like Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva. Alright, so the important followers of this are Tulsidas and Mirabai. We will be reading more about these the followers of Saguna movement in later part of this lecture. Okay, now let's focus on Nirgun Bhakti. What is Nirgun? Nir essentially means without, right? So Nirgun means formless divine entity. So they did not believe in personification or like giving any form to the God, but rather in some formless divine entity like the Brahma or the consciousness, the divine consciousness or something like that. Okay, so the most important followers of this that I think probably you are aware of is Kabir and Guru Nanak. They did not believe in any form of God to exist per se. They believe in a formless divine entity, both Kabir and Guru Nanak. We will be reading about more Nirgun Bhakti saints later on. Okay, so we were reading this philosophies, right? So the salvation through pure love, humility and devotion. The way I said it before, like they believed in promoting pure love without any discrimination, without any restriction, without any classification between rich or poor or the different caste or the different religion. They believed in having love for each and every human being, and they promoted humility. They believed in the acts of service, all right, and they believed in pure devotion. They dedicated themselves, the bhakti saints, they dedicated themselves in the devotion of God. Even if they were believers of Nirguna or Saguna, they believed in pure affection towards the God, and they completely dedicated themselves towards them. All right, so next thing that we have to remember is they promoted unity of religion. As I said, the concept of equality comes into picture multiple times, right? So they were the ones who promoted the unity of each and every section of society at that point of time. So obviously unity of religion becomes very important. When we will be later on in some lecture, we will be reading about Sufi movement as well. Then we will realize that okay, so Bhakti and Sufi are really close by. So these two probably they had their faiths in different section, but the ideas or the philosophies have been very similar. So they always promoted unity of religion. Okay, now we have to do a very is important thing, considering from the UPSC's syllabus point of view. That is, we have to compare the Alvars and Nayanars. What were the basic differences between them? Do you remember who was Alvars and Nayanars? So Alvars and Nayanars, Alvars were the Vaishnavites who believed in different forms of Vishnu, who were devoted to Vishnu, right? And Nayanars were Shaivites who believed in Shiva, who were devotees of Shiva. Both came into picture in from the 6th to 9th century. So they were prominent from the 6th century to 9th century, that is approximately about 300 to 400 years. All right, so both these sections of Bhakti movement were active in this period of time. So under Alvars, we have certain saints whose names become very important. I'll be highlighting them here. So Nama Malvar, all right, this name is important. Please make sure that you remember at least few of the Bhakti saints and Sufi saints, because they become really essential in the examination. There can be a match the following question, or categorization question based on this. So Nam Malvar and Andal. Andal is a very significant person because she was the only female Alvar. This obviously, when we see some important female persona in the ancient and medieval history, that persona instantly becomes important. So we have to remember that Andal was only female Alvar. All right, of whom we have evidence of course. There might be a lot more, but like she's the only one we have evidence of, so we believe she is the only female Alvar. The next is Peri Alvar, and then there is Thirumangai. So these are the these are the four saints that we are going to remember under Alvar. Repeat after me. There were Nam Malvar, there was Andal, there is Pari Alvar, and there is Thirumangai. Okay, under Nayanars, the saints who were important are Appar, there is Sambandar, there is Sundarar, there is Manikavachakar. So I don't have to explain anything here, but these are the saints who are really important, and in the later part we will also read in details about some saints and their contributions. Now let's look at the literature. We will look at the Alvar literature first. The first one that we have is Divya Prabandham. Divya Prabandham is very unique as it has about 4,000 Tamil verses. Alright, and it is also known as the Tamil Veda. So Divya Prabandham becomes very important because first of all you can see that it has 4,000 Tamil verses. That's a lot in number, right? And it is so vast and so big that it is also known as the Tamil Veda. Now the next literature that we need to remember from the Alvar sect is Tirupavai. It was composed by Andal. Alright, who was Andal? Again, Andal was the only female Alvar. So this Andal is the person who composed Tirupavallai. Alright, the literature of Nayanars. Let's look at the literature of Nayanars. The first text is Tirumurai. Tirumurai is already the most important literature, and under which it includes Tevaram and Tiruvachakkam. Tiruvachakkam and Tevaram both have been explained a bit further here, so we will look into it. All right. So first let's just get the gist of Tirumurai. So it had 12 volumes and it includes Tevaram and Tiruvachakkam, right? So Tiruvaram is by Appam Sambandar. We have read these names here, right? There is Appar, there is Sambandar, and there is Sundarar, right? So these three saints that we read about, all of them were associated with the composition of Thevaram, right? And when it comes to Tiruvachakkam, then the other saint whom we have learnt about is Manikavachakkar. That is the person who composed Tiruvachakkam, right? So there is a certain similarities in the name. I hope you can retain that. That is the Tiruvachakkam was composed by Manikava Chakkar. This is Chakkam and this is Chakkar, alright, but like they sound similar, so I just hope that we can retain that for the examination. Okay, now next just finish this off with the ideologies that they promoted. So Alvars emphasized on surrender or Parapatti. Parapatti is the complete surrender in the devotion of God, all right. They opposed caste barriers and strengthened temple culture. Now this might sound a bit extravagant that they supported temple culture, but like it is not to emphasize on the sacrificial or the ritualistic element of it, but temple as a place of God to reside in, all right. Okay, now the next thing that we need to know is under Nayanars, the important thing that we need to remember is that they rejected orthodox rituals completely and they opposed Jainism and Buddhism as well. Alright, so they rejected orthodox rituals in Hinduism, but they also opposed Jainism and Buddhism. The next comparison we need to do is between Saguna and Nirguna Bhakti. This is really essential for you all, so like please pay attention. All right, so let me keep the highlighters handy. Yeah, so Saguna, we know about Saguna that it is the devotion of God with form, right? Saguna means God with form, and Nirguna means a formless divine presence, a formless divine entity. So under Saguna we see that the devotion was expressed through bhajans, kirtans and hymns, whereas under Nayanars it was through mystical and philosophical poetry. Okay, this is a central difference. Now let's look at the saints. The saints under Saguna, again Saguna is God with form, right? Okay, so under Saguna there is Tulsidas. We know Tulsidas is the person who wrote Ramcharitmanas, so he was a devotee of Ram. There is Mirabai, of course we know about Mirabai was a devotee of Krishna. There is Surdas was also a devotee of Krishna and he was the one who composed Sursagar. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a devotee of Vishnu. Then there is Ramanuja believed in Vishishta Advait. Now Vishishta Advait is the central philosophy associated with non-dualism. Now what is Dvait and Advait? We have to remember that Dvait essentially means there is Dvait is dualism, right? And Advait, here we see Advait is non-dualism. Now what is dualism and non-dualism? Like, let me write it here for you. So dualism and non-dualism, that is Dvait and Advait. So Dvait essentially means only this idea of soul and the God. Alright, there is a connection between our soul and the God. There is Atma and Paramatma, and Advait or non-dualism essentially means that only Brahma is there. there is only one consciousness. But in Dvait, we believe that we have a soul, and that soul is ultimately connected to God, but it is not essentially the same thing. But under Dvait, we believe that this whole consciousness, we and God, we are a single entity. So this is the central differentiation between Dvait and Advait. All right, let me clear this up. Yeah. Yes, so let's just highlight these saints: Tulsidas, Mirabai, Surdas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanuja. Ramanuja is the person associated with Vishishta Advait, that is non-dualism. There is Sant Eknath. He is a important saint associated with Marathi Bhakti. And there is Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja is a central personality when it comes to Carnatic devotional music. All right, Carnatic devotional music. Okay, now let us look at the saints of Nirgun Bhakti saints. All right, so there is Kabir. Kabir, we know Kabir's Doha. We of course know about him. We have, if you are from CBSE, you must have read a lot of his Dohas in your syllabus, in Hindi syllabus. Okay, so Kabir is famous for his Doha, and he is a Nirgun saint. There is Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak is the one who was the founder of the Sikh sect and who promoted Sikhism. There is Dadu Dayal. He was a sant. There is a Ravidas. There is Namdev. Namdev is from Varkani sect. Now, who are these people of Varkani sect? Varkani sect is essentially from the Maharashtra and Gujarat belt. The saints who were in the Maharashtra. Okay, so I cannot write here. So from the from Maharashtra and Gujarat, all right, they were the Varkani sects. And then there is Bhulesha. So Bhulesha is associated with Sufism as well, Sufism and Nirgun both. All right, so as I said that they were the saints of Bhakti and Sufi movement. They were trying to propagate religious harmony. So we also see that same saints being part of both the Bhakti and Sufi tradition. So one of them is Bhulesha. Now let's look at the literature. The literature of Saguna. All right, let me just draw a line in between. I think that will help us to differentiate between the two. Yes, all right. So now we will look into the Alvar literature. All right, this is the Alvar. Oh, sorry, not Alvar. This is the Saguna literature. Okay, so under Saguna literature we have Ramcharitmanas. Obviously we know the author already, that's Tulsidas. Who was the person who wrote Sursagar? We know it is Surdas. The Bhakti songs written by Mirabai, very important. And Alvar and Nayanar hymns were under Saguna. We remember that Saguna is the devotion of God which has a form, right? And of course Alvars and Nayanars were Vaishnavites and Shaivites, so they will fall under the category of Saguna. Now let's look at the literature of Nirgun Bhakti. So we have Bajik. Bajik was authored by Kabir. There is Guru Granth Sahib. Guru Granth Sahib is the most essential document, most essential text, literary text of the Sikh sect. There is Doha by both Rahim and Kabir, and there is Abhagas by Namdev and Tukaram. All right. So I just insist that this might feel like a lot. There are a lot of names in here, but if you go through this time and again, like at least 2-3 times, I think you will be able to retain some of these. All right, now we are going to go through a bigger list of all the saints who are important. There are a lot of saints, but these are the saints. If you can retain some information about them, I think that you will be able to solve a few questions, at least the question that is there on in your question paper. If there is ever a question from Bhakti movement in your paper, I think this much of data is sufficient. So these are some of the saints I believe that they are important, and at least if you are to read this segment of Bhakti and Sufi movements, these are the saints that you have to keep in mind. It's okay if you forget a few here and there, and there are a lot of dates as well, so you might be concerned that do we have to remember all of this? Actually not, but it is the dates are given to give you an idea of the timeline that they were a part of. All right, so let's just get into the list already. The first person, so I have broken it down according to the part of the Indian continent that they are from. So first we are going to start with South India. All right, so the first saint we have is Ramanuj. Ramanuj was in India, like he took birth in 1017 to 1137. That is a long life, and of course he lived a long and prosperous life, and that is because that is one of the reasons that he was able to promote such a beautiful social movement of our history, right? So now Ramanuj timeline is from 1017 to 1137. He was associated with Vishishtadvait. I believe that you remember that I spoke about what is this Vishishtadvait, right? And he was in favor of social inclusion. Then there is Mahavacharya. His timeline is from 1238 to 1317. He was a propagator of Dvait belief, that is dualism. Then we have Annamacharya. His timeline is from 1408 to 1503, and he was the pioneer of Telugu Kirtans. He had his faith in Lord Venkateshwara, and he was a major influence in Carnatic music. Alright, the next person is Vallabhacharya. His timeline is from 1479 to 1531. He was the founder of Pushti Marg. Pushti Marg is very important. It is the path of grace. It is the path of kindness and humility. So that is Pushti Marg, and he believed in Shuddha Dvait. All right. I'm not going into the details because I believe that this is already a lot of information. We will quickly go through the names, because obviously you have a vast syllabus and it gets really difficult to retain everything. So I will just quickly go through it so that you can have this, you can, like, if you hear it at least once and you then go through the notes will be provided in the description of this video. If you go through the notes 1 or 2 times, I believe that you will be able to retain some of it, and it's okay even if you cannot in the first try. It's absolutely okay. You will get a lot of chance to revise, and after a few revises I think you will definitely remember a lot of them. Okay, so the next saint we are going to talk about is Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja's timeline is from 1767 to 1847. So imagine, Britishers are already in India at this point. All right, so what we have to know about him: he was a legend of Carnatic music. So if ever we get a question where we have to match the column or match the following with, like, who was associated with Carnatic music, and if there is an option of Tyagaraja, we have to remember that he was the one who is a very significant and very important character in a personality in the influence of Carnatic music, in the propagation of Carnatic music. Okay, he also composed the Pancharatna Kritis. Pancharatna Kritis is associated with Tyagaraja. Alright, let's go to the next personality. The next saint was Bhasavana. Bhasavana is a very important saint because he have been in news recently. So we have to retain some information about him. So his timeline is from 1105 to 1167. He was the founder of Lingayat. Lingayat is a section of Bhakti belief, Bhakti saints. He was the one who founded the Lingayat. Lingayat were the people who had this monotheistic belief in Shiva. Monotheistic means who believes in only one god. So they believed in Shiva, and they always wore a Ishtalinga around their neck as a token, as a as a necklace. They would wear it around their neck. All right. So they opposed casteism and Vedic rituals. They practiced monotheism. That is, they believed in only one god, and they propagated vachanas. Also, Basavana was the one who established Anubhava Mantapa. Anubhava Mantapa is establishment to promote equality, where everyone was welcomed, where he believed that all human beings need to be treated equally, and he always promoted the harmony of all religion and also opposed casteism that we have already read about. Okay, so in his propagation of his ideas, we see he propagated the kayaka, that is the honest work, and he propagated dosa, that is charity. So he paved the way for more humility in the Bhakti saint in the section of Lingayat, and that is essentially why he formed Lingayat. I'm sorry if I fumbled a bit in here because these names are really complicated and the concepts are really interlying. So keeping a check even for me gets a bit difficult. So okay, let's just quickly revise once again that what do we know about Basavana. Alright, so his timeline is from 1105 to 1167. He is the founder of Lingayat. Lingayat is this section of community that believes in monotheistic belief in Shiva. They wear a Ishtalinga around their neck. They oppose casteism and the Vedic rituals. They believe in monotheism. They perform vachanas. And Basavana was the one who established Anubhava Mantapa, and he promoted Kayaka, that is honest work, and Dosa, that is charity. Now let's quickly look into the saints who are important from the Bhakti movement in northern India. So there is Ramananda, whose timeline is of 14th century. He was a disciple of Ramanuja. Remember, we read about Ramanujacharya. Alright, he was a guru to Kabir, to Tulsidas, to Ravidas. Alright, he was a disciple of Ramanuja, but he was a guru of Kabir, Tulsidas, and Ravidas. The next personality is Kabir Das. Kabir Das' timeline is from 1440 to 1518. He believed in Nirguna. He rejected casteism and religious dogma. His hymns are included in Guru Granth Sahib. This is a very essential information that you need to retain, alright? Kabir's hymns are included in Guru Granth Sahib. Then we have Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak's timeline is from 1469 to 1539. He was the founder of Sikhism. He propagated Naam Japna, Kirat Karni, and Vand Chakna. Okay, and he was the one who composed Japji Sahib. Alright, and he was the one who established Langar If you have never been to a langar, so let me tell you, langar is essentially an act of service that is performed in a lot of gurudwaras, where food is being provided to everyone who is hungry, who wants to sit and have food. They are provided food without any restriction, without any discrimination. So there are a lot of gurudwaras where langar is being given, and that is a source of food for a lot of homeless people in India. All right. Okay, the next personality is Tulsidas. Wait. Yeah. Tulsidas's timeline is from 1532 to 1623. We already know that he wrote Ramcharitmanas. That is, what is Ramcharitmanas essentially? It is the vernacular Ramayana. Alright, for the people who don't know, Ramcharitmanas is the vernacular Ramayana. Next person is Surdas. Do you remember what is the contribution of Surdas? Surdas was the one who wrote Sursagar. Alright, he wrote Bhakti poems in Braj Bhasha, and his timeline is from 1478 to 1583. Then comes in Mirabai. Mirabai's timeline is from 1498 to 1547. Alright, Mirabai was a Rajput princess, and she was a Krishna devotee. Next personality is Ravidas. Ravidas's timeline is 15th and 16th century. He was a disciple of Ramananda, and his verses are also included in Guru Granth Sahib. Alright, so we come to know about two personalities already. One is Kabir Das, whose work is included in Guru Granth Sahib, and there is Ravidas, whose work is also included in Guru Granth Sahib. He is also the person who founded the Ravidasai sect. So his name is already there in the name of the sect, so we will not confuse it with others. Alright, now we are shifting towards the Bhakti saints who are from the region of Maharashtra and Gujarat. As I was saying, there is Varkari Varkari sect here. Alright, in the region of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Okay, the first personality is, the first saint is Janeshwar. His timeline is from 1275 to 1296. He was the one who wrote Janeshwari. Similar to his name, there is no chance of confusion. So that is Marathi commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Janeshwari is Marathi commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Alright, so next personality is Ramdev. Ramdev, not the Ramdev of Patanjali obviously, but the great saint Ramdev. His timeline is from 1270 to 1350. He was a devotee to Vithoba. Vithoba is a very deity in the Maharashtra region, and his rhymes are also included in Guru Granth Sahib. So we have Ramdev, we have Ravidas, and we have Kabir Das, all of whose rhymes are included in Guru Granth Sahib. The next personality is Tukaram. Tukaram's timeline is from 1608 to 1649. He was the one who composed Abhangas. Alright, and he is very central to the Varkari movement. The way I said, Varkari movement is important section in the Bhakti movement in Maharashtra and Gujarat region. Alright. Then we have Ramdas. His timeline is from 1608 to 1681. He wrote Dashbodh, and he was a mentor to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Alright, very essential and important information. Ramdas was a spiritual mentor to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Alright, the next personality is Narsi Mehta. Its timeline is 15th century. This is the person who wrote Vaishnav Janto. Okay, Vaishnav Janto. Now we are going to Bengal and Odisha region. We are almost close to the completion of the list, so please have a little more patience. Alright, so the personality who is very important from the Bengal and Odisha section is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's timeline is from 1486 to 1534, and he was the founder of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Alright, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, a very important sect under the Bhakti movement. Alright, whose founder was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a Bhakti and Sankirtan movement. He is associated with Bhakti and Sankirtan movement. He believed in monotheistic practices. Achinta Bheda Abheda philosophy is the blend of Dvaita and Advaita. That is a unique aspect of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he believed in Achintya Bheda Abheda philosophy. Alright, let me highlight that as well. Yeah. His teachings are recorded in this two literary texts, that is Chaitanya. I'm so sorry. It is recorded under these two literary work, that is Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is recorded by Krishnadasa Kaviraja, and there is Chaitanya Bhagavata, that is Vrindavan Das Thakur, by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So there are these two literary texts. Let's just revise it again. There is Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadasa Kaviraja, and there is Chaitanya Bhagavata, that is by Vrindavana Das Kumar. He is also a great inspiration behind the establishment of ISKCON, that is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This was formed in the 20th century, right? So that is so many years, about 450 years after his death. But ISKCON is a very active body right now, a very big organization of a certain spiritual belief. Last but not the least, we have Jayadeva. Jayadeva's timeline is 12th century, and he is the one who wrote Geet Gobind. Alright, so with this we have concluded today's session. So let's just go through all the things that we have learned. We have understood the basics of Bhakti movement. What is it? So we saw that its timeline is from 7th to 17th century. It is a transformative religious cultural movement. It promoted equality, harmony, devotion, and devotion as the pathway to salvation. We saw it originated in South India in 8th to 12th century. There are two important sects under it, that is Alvars, who were Vaishnavites, Vishnu devotees, and there were Nayanars, who are Shiva devotees, who are Shaivites. So there was gradual spread to North India as well, and it countered the decline of Buddhism and Jainism. Features we saw: there is devotion to God rather than complex rituals, equality, rejected caste discrimination, promoted religious harmony, personal relationship with God. They propagated simple life, simple way of worship, and all of this was propagated in simple languages in forms of hymns and poems. Their philosophy includes Saguna Bhakti and Nirguna Bhakti. Saguna is deity with form, and Nirguna is formless deity. Alright. Next, we saw that salvation could be attained through pure love, humility, and devotion. According to Bhakti saints, they believed in unity of religion. While comparing the Alvars and Nayanars, we saw that Alvars are Vaishnavites, Nayanars are Shaivites. Both their timeline is similar, that is 6th to 9th century. We saw the important saints: Namalvar, Andal, Periyalvar, Tirumangai. These are Alvar saints, and Nayanar saints are Appar, Sambandar, Sundarar, Manikar, Kavachar, Chakkar, Manikava Chakkar, such a big name. Okay, under literature, Alva literature is Devya Pradham, there is Tirupavai, and under Nayanar literature, there is Tirumurai, under Tirumurai, there is Tivaram, and there is Tiruvachakkam. Alright. While comparing Saguna and Nirguna Bhakti, we saw Saguna is God with form, Nirguna is formless divine presence. We saw the scenes of Saguna, that is those who are Tulsidas, there is Mirabai, there is Surdas, there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanuja, there is Sant Eknath, and there is Tyagaraja. And under Nirguna Bhakti saints, we have Kabir, we have Gurudas, we have Dadu Dayal, we have Ravidas, we have Namdev and Bulesha. Literature for Saguna are Ramcharitmanas, Sursagar, Bhakti songs by Mirabai, Alvar and Nayanar hymns. Under Nirguna, we have Bijak by Kabir, Guru Granth Sahib, which is the Sikh text. There is Dohas by Rahim and Kabir. There is Abhagas by Namdev and Tukaram. Under prominent saints, we saw Ramanujacharya, we saw Madhavacharya, Annamacharya, Vallabhacharya, Tyagaraja, Basavana. Then we saw Ramananda, we saw Kabir Das, we saw Guru Nanak, we saw Tulsidas, Surdas, Mirabai and Ravidas. Then we saw Janeshwar, we saw Namdev, we saw Tukaram, Ramdas, Narsi Mehta, and at last we saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jayadeva. Okay, so with that, I will be concluding today's session. I hope that I was able to help you out with this very difficult and complicated topic. If you liked it, do let me know in the comment section, and if there is any topic that you want me to cover, then also mention that in the comment section. I will be bringing the lecture of Sufi movement very soon, so stay tuned. Bye-bye. You can also, yes, the last thing, you can also access the PDF of this lecture from the description. You can join the Telegram group. There I have already posted the PDF file of this whole document. Alright? Okay, good night.